As our introduction to Python, we're going to have a quick look to see how Python handles numbers compared to other programming languages. And if this is your first programming language, well, this is how Python handles numbers. So I'm going to start off by creating a variable. Let's call it age. It could be my age. My age is 42. And let's say we want to see that printed back to the screen. I can just say print age. I push play up here. I'm running PyCharm. I can see my code executed down here. It's printing it out. So there are different types of numbers. So we're going to figure out what type of number this is. And to do that, we can use the type command and just write age in there. So we're going to drop in our variable we created before. We stored the number 42 in it. We want to know what type it is. It's an int, an integer. In many programming languages, you would have to specify what type of number you're creating when you create it. In Python, it figures it out. Let's make one called height. Let's say I'm 6.1. Well, I'm 6'1" inches, but okay. So we've got height at 6.1, and let's do the same thing. Let's print it out. It's gonna push play. There it is, 6.1. Let's figure out what type it is. Print type height. Push play. It is a floating point number. So a floating point number is like a decimal number. So it's a different type than integer. So numbers are different types. We could add these numbers together. I don't know why you'd ever add your height and age. Doesn't make any sense. But let's do it anyway. Let's just call this crazy number, and we'll say age plus height. I don't know if you know this, but if you add your age plus your height, that's how many millions of dollars you will have in the future. Let's see, what is it going to give us? Is it going to make it an integer number? Is it going to make it a floating point number? I'm sure you have a guess. What is crazy number? Let's find out. Crazy number, it gives us a decimal number. So if we print out its type, we should see it's a floating point as well. Crazy number. And push play. Crazy number indeed is a floating point number. All right, so we've looked at ints. Incidentally, if you want to write out a large-ish integer, so I could write out, a million as this with 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a million. But I could also write it out with underscores. Just let's say I'm instantiating a number. I want to be sure, and it's easier to read. You'd maybe use commas if you were doing it, on a piece of paper. But here in Python, underscores. So that's a million. So let's see. That looks like nonsense, but let's print out million and let's see. There we go. Prints it out without the underscores, so it knows to ignore them. And the only reason you'd use those is to make it easier on your brain when you're writing them out. Incidentally, though, we can also create numbers that are like exponential numbers, so that it can use exponential notation as well. So exponential num. Let's create one. And the way we do that, we could say like 2 to the power of 17. Print that out. And it prints it back the same kind of way that you might see that notation on your calculator. What if we said 6? What does that do? Smaller number. There we go. So when we print out a number that is a little smaller, so that's 2 million, I think. Yep. And let's add crazy number. Let's add million and 2 million and see what we get. So print million and exp_num. What does it give us? Should give us 3 million. There we go. Let's multiply them, see what happens. Oops. Incidentally, this is how you add two numbers together, with the plus sign. So how do you multiply two numbers? Well, let's start there first. So let's print, let's just create a couple of numbers here. We've got num1, let's make that equal to 7, and let's make num2 equal to 3. Let's add them up. print num1 plus num2. Let's see what we get. We should get 10. We got 10. All right. Well, let's multiply them now. So how do we do that? In Python, in most programming languages, to multiply something, we use an asterisk. So that is Shift 8 on an English keyboard. It's the star. So plus num2, or sorry, times num2. So 3 times 7, 21. We can divide numbers as well. So let's set up num3. Let's make it equal, I don't know, 33. Num4, make it equal 11. Let's divide those numbers. So print num3 divided by, and that's a slash, a forward slash, num4. What do we get? 3. Look at that. And it's giving them back as a floating point number as well. So that's interesting to note. All right, but sometimes things don't evenly divide. So let's say we have set up num5 now. Let's say our fifth number is the number 10. And let's say we wanted to divide 33 by 10. Well, what's it going to do there? Num3 divided by num5. What do we get? 3.3. So it gives us a decimal answer. But let's say we're in a situation where we can't divide things evenly like that. Let's say when you're splitting people into groups. So let's say we want to do, there's something called integer division. It's often known as floor division as well. So let's print num3, which is 33. And floor division is 2, oops, not 2 question marks, 2 slashes. So, and we'll say by num5, what do we get? In that case, it says 3 because you can fit, there are 10, you can fit 3 10s into 33. But then you might say, well, what's the remainder? And there's an operation for that as well. It's called the modulus or modulo, and it's with a percent sign. So let's see, num3, percent sign, num5, and it'll give us the integer remainder. Let's check out the type on this as well. So let's print out, and I just copy this whole line, paste it below, and every time let's check the type of number it's giving us back. Just so we know. It's important to know what type of number you're working with sometimes. So, oops, I should have copied that first. Type. Let's see what type of number this is. And let's see what type of number this is. All right, let's push play so we can see. Our 3.3 is a floating point number, and this returns an integer, so our integer division, I'll just write that here, integer division, or floor division. This is mod division, or remainder. Incidentally, this hashtag or number sign creates a comment, and this is regular division, decimal division. So if you want to write a comment for yourself in your code, this doesn't get run by the interpreter. When it runs, it ignores it. So you can create little notes to yourself about what you're doing in your code, which I recommend doing a lot. So if I was to go back, I could write up here, integer, floating point. Oh, I ruined something here. Dear me. What did I ruin? I ruined that. Okay. We got our crazy number here. What are we doing? We're addition. Addition of different types. Some programming languages won't let you add integers and decimals, so that's interesting. Here we go. This is using underscores in large numbers. Exponents. we started looking at it. Addition. Hey, we didn't look it up subtraction. I bet you can figure that out though. So we can do that like this, print. Let's print out, actually let's store a subtracted number. So let's subtracted number. I'll set up a variable called subtracted number and we'll make it num5. Or let's say num3 minus num5. When I push play, you'll notice it doesn't do anything with that number. That's why every time in these examples we're printing them out. Print subtracted number. There we go. So 33 minus 10 is 23. So this is subtraction. All right. Other operators. We can raise something to a power. So powers. Let's do that next. So I can say we've got, let's say, number 5. Num5 up here is 10. So we could do this. Exponent number, let's say num5 to the power of 2, or squared. So we use 2 asterisks, 2 stars to do that. Let's see, exponent number, and push play. So now 10 to the power of 2 is 100. Let's change that to 3. And the power of 3, 1,000. We can also do, let's just print out 23. Let's do 8. 8 squared. Print that out. 64. All right, so that's how we do exponents. So incidentally, it'll also do order of operation. So some of you might have learned that as bed mass. So let's let's make a variable called order of operations equals. Let's open our brackets. Let's say 8 plus 2 squared plus 9 times 2. So it's going to do brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, then subtraction. So anything in the brackets first, so it'll do 2 times 9 here. At the same time, it'll then do 8 plus 2, then it'll square that, then it'll add the 2 together. So let's print them out, see if it does that properly. 118. So over here we've got 10 squared is 100, 2 times 9 is 18, add those together, 118. It worked. So that is your crash course on numbers in Python.